Hi, I'm Dave.
Hi, I'm Robin.
Welcome
to Schoolwide Download. All right, before we dive into today's episode, just a quick reminder that registration is now open for our third annual Schoolwide AI Conference, and we'd love to see you there. So just check out bcesc.org/Schoolwide AI, or you can check out the links in our notes. This is our third annual conference. It'll be held November 4th at Hamilton High School, and we're expecting about 400 educators. We're really excited. It's going to be dynamic. The sessions are going to be geared towards student voice and what teachers are really doing in the classroom. And of course, we'll have giveaways, interactive games, and plenty of fun, so you won't want to miss it. Welcome back to Schoolwide Download. I'm Robin.
And I'm Dave. And today's episode is one that when we thought about episodes, it's one that I think people might want to hear about this. It's one where you fear this, and it just keeping it real, it's going to happen. It's when technology does not work, when it fails us, I guess is the best way to put it, when we're in the classroom.
And it's literally the worst. Like, I want to be like, oh my God, because if the technology cuts out, Wi-Fi is down, or the AI tool or the app isn't working correctly, and you're just like, crap, now what do we do?
Well, and I think when you try out new things, new tools, new techniques, there's always that fear of what if the tool doesn't work, especially if it's dependent upon electricity or connectivity or Wi-Fi or whatever. So we thought, instead of pretending like it doesn't happen, because we all know that it does, today's theme, or spark, if you will, is what can go wrong. And it usually will at some point in time. If you've done this long enough, It's not always going to go perfectly. And what can you do to kind of be ready for that and not allow it to derail the lesson that you're actually teaching?
Yeah, so we're calling this one When EdTech Breaks. And like you said, we've all been there. You might not be a techie person at all. And so maybe when it breaks, you don't know how to fix it, or you just panic. Like, you get that fear, like, oh my goodness, especially depending on the kind of class you have, that could be like the end of the world.
Well, and just to throw out Murphy's Law, if your 7th bell class, if you're teaching on a 7-bell schedule, is your most challenging, whether it's behavior related or your fatigue, that's
the one that breaks.
That's when it's going to happen. Absolutely.
Or when you're being observed. You want to be really tech savvy and drop all those new tools, and you really want it to go well, and then it doesn't work, and the kids are like, my things aren't working, my computer's not working, that didn't work, and you just are immediately like hitting panic mode, and you really want to be like, just be quiet. Like,
yes. And once again, to keep it real, if it hasn't happened to you yet, you must be a new teacher.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to, no, it's not probably, it's going
to. It is going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe we can provide some comfort in sharing with you some things to keep in mind when EdTech breaks.
Yeah. Some tips and tricks just to help you along the way.
All right. So once again, we're going to keep it real today. We've both been in those moments. If it hasn't happened to you, like I said previously, it's probably going to happen. And I'm sure you've heard from other teachers anecdotes about what things didn't went well.
Horror stories.
Yes,
maybe.
yes. It happens. It happens. So today we're going to talk about what you can do.
Yeah, one time I had this whole cool lesson plan planned out with Jamboard, collaborative. The kids were going to do it. So excited about it. I spent all this time knowing how to work Jamboard, how to set it up, getting the kids ready for it, and then the internet was down. And this activity was supposed to take like the majority of the class, and I literally am like, now what? What am I going to do? I mean, I guess I could have said get a book out and read, but then that just doesn't always work. Yeah,
I mean, the biggest disaster I would say I had was one of those. It was Friday, of course.
Always.
I believe it was before a holiday.
I was just gonna say it's like Christmas break.
Yeah, and it had gone flawlessly for 4 previous lessons. It got to the one where, from a classroom management perspective, I was the most dependent on technology.
Yeah,
and the technology didn't fail me, because, as we all know, if you use tech tools that are unreliable, you quickly stop using them.
Yeah.
So it was not the tool.
That's true.
It was not the tool. It was the dreaded, ladies and gentlemen, we've lost Wi-Fi. We're talking to SWOCA or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So it was done.
What'd you do?
It didn't happen. Oh, what did I do?
Yeah. I mean, was it a
Well,
bad class? Like,
It was horrible.
yeah, always.
It was horrible. Well, typically the behavior was very challenging, but what I did was, which typically works for me, I started to tell a story.
That does work. You're a good storyteller, so I can see how that would work.
So I started a story, and that bought me some time, and actually the Wi-Fi was out for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but it's not always going to come back.
Have you ever done it too, where it's too many people on the same tool? Like you've got way too many kids on there and it's slow and it's not working. And then kids are like, mine's working, mine's not working. And then the whole class just erupts. Like I feel like that has happened to me multiple times.
Yes.
You have to pivot quickly.
And you, like I said previously, you always learn very quickly if your students struggle to log in
Yeah.
repeatedly. I've always thought if technology or an application or a tool fails me once, I will give it a second chance. But if on 2 occasions, then I have to pivot. It's not because
it's not worth it.
It's not always practical to plan
Right.
2 lessons for every class that you teach, one with the tech and one without. However, there have been some things that have come onto the scene lately that it's actually not as hard now as it used to be.
It really isn't. I know as we're kind of dating ourselves a little bit as we're talking about it, because it really probably doesn't happen as often as it did maybe with us when we were in the classroom. But I mean, I'm sure it still does, because when we play around with AI tools, there's still a learning curve, and there's times that we've played around with a tool and it doesn't work right. And so I can't imagine trying to do that on top of managing a whole classroom. But we've got a couple tips and tricks to kind of solve this problem.
Yeah, so I think one of the first things, and this is teaching 101, as a teacher, you have to expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to be flexible. And I think this falls into the same category of oftentimes if a student asks you a question, it is 100% okay to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
So when the technology
that's good advice.
is not working,
Yeah.
it's time to be flexible. You can't hide it.
Right.
Talk about it. Hey, it looks like we're having a little tech glitch, so here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Just act smooth, not like you planned it, but if you model, okay, let's problem solve, let's not panic.
Yeah.
I
Kids
think
can feel the panic,
Yes.
and then they can react to it. So I think being flexible is a huge one, especially for new teachers. I think it's hard to tell them to be flexible. As I was like a resident educator, in RESA, I would help be a mentor for teachers, and that was like one of my biggest tips is you always have to be flexible because the fire alarm's going to go off. Technology's going to break. You're not going to have the materials, or something's going to happen. A kid's going to get sick. I mean, there's always going to be something that happens, and you're just going to have to be flexible. You're going to have to just be able to seamlessly move on to the next thing, because that's what's going to keep your class going. So I think that's a really important tip.
And I think to be honest about this, sometimes depending upon the class, possibly depending upon the grade level you're teaching, when that technology starts to have a hiccup or not work, sometimes you're going to have classes where the students, oh, can we help Ms. Zeri? Like, how can we help?
Yeah.
And then other times you're
Do you need their help?
It might not be that supportive of an environment.
Okay.
That's an opportunity to kind of misbehave. But once again, if you stay calm and you don't panic, I will give one example that didn't happen to me, but at the time when I was teaching middle school, I was a mentor teacher, and one of my mentees, it was the big day for her evaluation.
Oh gosh.
And she did everything that you should. She talked it up with her students.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She prepared them. I don't quote me on this. I think rewards.
Bribe.
Were yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you always bribe.
There was some bribery involved.
Yeah.
And the technology collapsed.
Oh.
And then the class mutinied.
Oh God, that's terrible.
So,
and then it breaks your heart because they worked so hard.
I did. And so then what she did was, let me just tell you what not to do. So
did she do
we just talked about calm, control. Yeah. She cried.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
but-
What grade?
This was 7th grade.
Oh, God. It's
So in
getting
the end,
worse.
she passed
Did
the
she
assessment.
pass?
She did.
Okay.
Which there's other questions related to that. But anyways, she did well. So the big thing is,
That's a bad one.
these, sometimes there
Yeah.
are students
Yeah.
that will step up and help you. It doesn't take away from your credibility, your stature, your status if you say,
Oh, I don't think so at all.
Students.
I had some pretty techie kids in my class one year, and if something broke, I mean, it was like I needed it. I was like, Juan, I need help, and you're going to come help
Yeah.
me. And he knew. I had like 2 or 3 go-to students that would just get on and then they could figure it out for me. And it was almost became a running joke, like Mrs. Zeri doesn't know how to fix tech. And the funny thing that year, they made me one of the tech leads for my grade level, and everybody thought it was hysterical because they're like, she doesn't know what she's doing. I just use my students. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. I even think students should be used even in those tech leads. When you have those lead teachers that are doing it, why not have students do it? Because they do. They're on top of it.
well, and if you give a student a responsibility like, hey,
Yeah.
you've shown me that you're really adept with this technology, that's what a neat thing to say when your teacher across the hall is having tech tip. Well, let me send over
Yeah.
so-and-so. And that
Yeah.
young man or that young woman is
I think so.
excited.
Well, builds that relationship too.
Yeah.
We talked about that previously. Another thing is having that backup. We have like subfolders, or you've got like sub plans that you've got tucked away on your in your desk or on your side, whatever it may be. But having that backup as if it breaks, just pull out the activity. I always had, and this is probably wrong, and if my past administrators are listening, I apologize. But I had the folder that had like, I'm being observed randomly today, and I wasn't prepared for it, and so I would pull the go-to lesson, and if I would see my administrator walk in for an observation, it was like, all right, everybody, put everything away. We're gonna move on to the next thing, and I got like the secret folder, and it was like had like all the goods. So maybe having that as your backup, so if something breaks, you can have that, and that's a really good tip for observations to have that backup. But that's
Yeah, and I do think with the advent of how user friendly and the availability of AI, it would have 10 years ago would have been very. It just really
would have taken a lot longer.
Right, it would be easy for
Yeah.
me to sit here and say, well, you need to have a backup lesson. Well, that's a lot of work to have a backup lesson for every lesson that you teach. But for example, in preparation for talking about this, there is a tech tool that I used to love when I taught called Mission US. And what Mission US is, it's primarily, obviously, it's for social studies classes, which is what I taught. But it was basically, you went back into periods of time, like this one is the American Revolutionary War, and you actually go through a simulation where you have to make choices on what to do.
Yeah.
Well, hypothetically, so I went into an AI tool and said, I'm teaching this class today using Mission US. Give me some suggestions if I lose Wi-Fi in my room.
That is awesome.
So,
Well, you just had me think of one too now that you just said that. I used to use free rice. Did you ever use that?
I have heard of that.
Okay,
yes.
I just looked it up, and it's still a thing. That was my go-to because you could get on and kids could play educational games, and they would earn rice, and the rice is donated to a country, so they were giving back. And it's still a thing, which is crazy. I didn't think it was, but that was my go-to. Like, get on free rice, freerice.com, and they knew and they liked it. So but with AI, you are right, because you could plug something in. If I need a quick something, I need a lesson for this, I need an activity.
Right.
It's going to give me something, and I could go and jump to it.
I literally just typed in what I said to you, and then the response I got was, it can be nerve-wracking when technology lets you down. So I'd be happy to help you prepare a robust backup plan. And I was given five different suggested activities based on the AI's now knowledge of Mission US.
That's crazy.
And the Revolutionary War simulation. So what would have taken in the past, I mean, literally hours to prepare, you've got something.
So what you're saying
go.
is basically there's really no need to prepare any backups anymore. To be in the classroom now, with all these tools, because I just think it makes it so much easier. It's just right at your fingertips.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, I think you kind of hinted at it earlier, was when it doesn't go well, don't panic. I mean, you're allowed to laugh. This can be humorous to a point, I guess.
I think that, again, that's a relationship builder, because if your kids
Right.
see you laugh about something that's going wrong, they're like, oh, okay. And it's okay to not things to go right. Like, it happens.
Aren't we oftentimes tasked with telling kids to fail forward?
Yeah.
So if they see you fail, then not that we're encouraging failure.
No.
But if they see us struggle with a lesson or a piece of technology, then it gives us an opportunity to say, see, it doesn't always go, and you have to be ready.
So don't panic, laugh, use AI.
Yep.
And then have that little secret lesson for your observations.
Yeah, that might be the biggest takeaway. So I think in summary, I believe I've been in this 28 years. It's not about perfection.
No.
I've never taught a perfect lesson. Never. I never will.
Never?
I've never
There's
taught
never
a perfect
been one
lesson.
you felt like that was
Nope.
it? Oh.
Nope. There's always something to
Maybe I was a
critique
better
with.
teacher than you.
Yeah, that
I'm just kidding.
might be the truth. But when you're panicking, when you're struggling, it is still an opportunity to keep that and continue to build and support that connection you have with your students.
Yeah.
And in fact, the lessons, I think the lessons that you taught that were close to perfect, that went well, my primary audience was middle school. They're not going to remember that. They're going to remember when you had the glitch.
Yeah,
and they're going to remember how you handled that. When it's the disasters that they will make a connection with.
Yeah, they
more so
always
than the
remember like
successes.
the thing that happened. I'll see students that I'd had, and they're adults now, and I had them in 4th grade, and they'll say, remember that time when you were doing that cool activity and I dropped something one time and it shattered, which probably shouldn't have had glass in the room, but, and that's what they remembered. And I'm like, that's the takeaway when I broke the glass, or, the takeaway when the turtle got lost from the classroom, that's what you remembered? But those are the things that they remember.
Oh, I taught, as you know, I taught 7th and 8th grade primarily, and, that's an awkward age.
Yeah,
I think
for
most
sure.
people
I couldn't do it.
would own that. So there were definitely lots of discussions I had with students that maybe were struggling with something, and they don't remember any of that. The only thing that they remember is when we talked about, because I taught geography, the thing they always state is, well, remember when you brought Vegemite to class? Oh, that was so disgusting. I hated that. But they remember that.
Yeah.
They don't remember anything
Yeah.
else. It's those instances where
Absolutely.
something went awry. So, okay.
All right. Well, let's give you something practical to try tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're talking about maybe creating that Plan B board. And so talking about what that looks like. What are we thinking?
Well, it could be a slide deck that you have that, regardless of what you're doing, what you're talking about, would be a good stand-in.
Yeah.
Even if it's not directly tied to a content standard that you're teaching at the moment. This is sometimes this is about survival.
Yeah.
Not necessarily hitting a standard. It could be a chart. It could be a section of a lesson plan that gives you an alternative. It could be, like we just mentioned, maybe the night before or the week before. That would be probably better than the night before.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. Use a generative AI tool. This is what I'm doing tomorrow using technology. Should this not work, give me a couple suggestions for something that I could do in the event that it stops working.
And I think having that backup plan, that Plan B, Google Classroom's amazing. So maybe you have a folder on Google Classroom that says, these are 3 things you can do if if something happens and breaks, you've got it's already there,
Right.
Call it your Plan B folder. But for example, if Pear Deck's not working, it won't launch. Use an exit slip with paper. There's nothing, again, wrong with just pulling out slips of paper and a pencil. If the video doesn't play...
Vintage teaching?
Yes, vintage.
Okay.
I still think paper pencil's important. If your video won't play, maybe you read the script and you don't. I've done that multiple times. I had a lot of novels that we would listen to, especially if I was trying to catch up on the chapter. I'd let the kids listen out loud, and not for every time, but just that, just to get it going. And there'd be those times it wouldn't work. And you know what? Me reading it probably was way better than me hitting play on YouTube for them to listen to somebody else. So maybe you do that. You do the read aloud with them. The best one is, what if that site's blocked? Because that was another piece. I'd find something at home, and then I go to school to pull it up, and the site, our school site would block it. That's a great opportunity to discuss. maybe why that website was blocked for the school. And then that's teaching them,
digital citizenship.
Yeah. So it's a good opportunity. And then again, use AI. I mean, it's here. As long as you're allowed to use it in your school district, use it because it's a time saver.
And I think you as the classroom teacher, you're the best judge of what a potential alternative could be. So maybe you're teaching in a classroom where this is your eager beavers class, like they're go-getters. I mean, that might be an opportunity where you throw out, okay, technology's not working. Who's got a suggestion for how we go through this?
Oh, that's cool. And they might but they might really have some good insight of that.
Yeah. So asking them to participate, asking them for support, asking them for suggestions, and literally that could work for your third and fifth bell, but not necessarily your sixth. Or if you're in an elementary, it could be based on that might be an effective strategy in the morning, but right before dismissal, it might not be.
Yeah.
So that's when you just have to use your judgment on what an appropriate pivot would be.
And I think this is really important to say. Technology is a tool, not a crutch. It is great, but don't overuse it. Don't use it for every single thing you're doing. I mean, we obviously love technology, but I think if you overuse it or you lean on it too much and it doesn't work, that's when panic's going to set in. That's when the kids are going to see that you're sweating or crying like your teacher because they're using it to the point that they can't do anything else. So I think you really need to be strategic about using it as a tool.
And to kind of add to that, when you allow a student or you get them engaged in a tool or in a piece of technology that you think is enhancing engagement, it's deepening learning, that doesn't mean you go sit down at your desk and check your email.
As an instructional coach, that is a no-no. I don't want to walk in and see you sitting and kids on the computers 24/7.
That's the time to get up and get your steps in and check in on how people are doing and words of affirmation. And I'm glad
pull that small group.
I'm glad you're here today. If a kid struggles with attendance, so glad that I saw you today.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
That's a good tip.
It's once again, strengthen that relationship.
Yep.
All right. Well, today we're going to end with a friendly reminder, and that is that you are, and I'm not even going to say when this happens to you.
If it hasn't already.
When this happens to you again,
you
are not alone. Technology hiccups or fails altogether happen to the best of educators, and typically at the times you wish they didn't, and they're not typically when you expect them, but you're not alone. This happens to everybody. Having a plan will help you navigate that a little bit more safely, a little more efficiently.
And then next time, we're going to move on from that survival mode to that success mode. So we're talking about routines and how technology can play a role in your routines within your classroom. Routine is key. If you are a new teacher listening right now, routine, because
structures, routines,
makes a huge difference. Because then when you have that in place, then you can have fun. You can't have fun before the routines and structures in place. So that's what we're going to talk about next time.
So thank you for listening to this episode of When Tech Fails. Once again, not here to be gloom and doom, but it does happen. Be prepared. You're not alone. If you've had something happen to you that you find, well, actually, you probably found in the moment to be incredibly frustrating, but in hindsight, it was actually kind of funny once you distanced yourself from it happening.
Or years later down the road, it's funny.
Please share it with us using hashtag Schoolwide Download, and maybe that's something we'll feature in a future episode, or we'll mention something that happened to somebody to kind of support our belief.
Yeah, I like that.
You're not alone, that this happens. Yeah. This happens to the best of us.
So until then, stay flexible, stay calm, and always remember that Plan B is sometimes better than Plan A.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Schoolwide Download.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time.